Here now, News Nation senior national security contributor, Lieutenant General Richard Newton, former U.S. Air Force Assistant Vice Chief of Staff. There's been a lot that has transpired in the last 24 hours, and then certainly this morning as the president boarded Air Force One. He's frustrated that the buildup to the ceasefire resulted in an exchange of fire. Give me your characterization of the ceasefire right now. Some say stable, it's in effect. Others say very fragile ground.
I think we'll take Robert Sherman's two words, fragile and lots of tension. And that I would anticipate that, Marnie, as Robert reported, they've been fighting, certainly Israel's conducting this extensive air campaign for the last 2 weeks. But you also said they've been at it for years. And so to turn on a dime, the extent of the violence that has been conducted most recently, but through the years, is very difficult. Now, what I'm going to be looking for is in the next several hours is if that fragile ceasefire can remain in place, and I'm anticipating that it can. There will be some breakouts, but I believe those to be isolated because it's in the best interest of all parties. Certainly Israel and Iran, because they've been hammered the last 12 days, and certainly the United States, because our reputation is now on the line where President Trump has really teed up effectively, I may add, the ceasefire arrangements. So the next several hours will be absolutely critical.
Right. He would like nothing more than this to be a 12-day war, and I think most would agree, right, to avoid a further conflict in that region. What do you make, though, of his frustration if, in fact, kind of the buildup before a ceasefire, it's pretty typical to see that exchange?
It is. And again, the president is clearly justified being, somewhat frustrated at this point. But let's, if I were advising him, it says, OK, let's move forward. Let's now be as constructive as we possibly can to perhaps be the key player here in orchestrating this ceasefire, which will then turn into really what the aim should be, Marnie, is what next. And that what next is going to be going to the diplomatic negotiating table. And I believe this is where the United States absolutely will be, at a position of strength along with Israel. Iran is significantly reduced in their military capability, their diplomatic capability, and so forth. And frankly, from a domestic audience standpoint, the regime, the theocratic regime that's been in power for 45 years has never been so weakened internally at home as well.
We have to take what we know about Iran's objectives, one being death to Israel, death to America, something that they have said for years, and also the nuclear enrichment capabilities. They're aspiring to gain enough knowledge and resources to build a weapon. Can both of those things be agreed to, or are they one and the same? What do you think is on the negotiating table realistically for Iran?
Well, broadly speaking, and then we'll get down to some details, we're on the cusp of strategic change, major change in the Mideast, certainly in our dealings with Iran. That goes for both Israel and the United States, and frankly, the neighbors, the Arab neighbors surrounding Iran as well. So what do we know? We know that Iran's nuclear weapons development capability is severely crippled. That is the crown jewel of that regime. Secondly, we know that their military is dramatically reduced, if not defeated, and including their military leadership and their ability to protect themselves. 70% of their air defenses are taken out. Israel just recently struck at 50 military sites. They're now going after their national police force that really causes harm to the Iranian people. And therefore, I believe that's how they're going to be forced to go to the negotiating table, certainly from a position of strength of the United States and Israel, but in a much weakened state. How that plays out, here are the demands. Completely dismantle your nuclear weapons capability that you may have, say, some highly enriched uranium or enriched uranium, still in your stockpile. Dismantle complete your ballistic missiles. Denounce what you have just said, Marty, with regard to, the United States being the great Satan and the cancerous boil of Israel and so forth. And you have to stop aiming for the destruction of Israel. So moving forward, those conditions are going to be set, and then we're going to monitor with tremendous intrusion those nuclear weapon sites as well as boots on the ground, how you, again, are obligated to enforce this treaty that you will have signed.
Yeah. what types of assurances to hold Iran to its word, which it has not been able to do until now. All right, General Newton, thank you as always.